Oh, thank you all for joining us for the Cover 3 Superlatives as we hand out our awards for the month of October. Everyone looks fantastic. Insert joke here. You on the front row. Insulting comment. Now I get slapped by somebody's husband. Okay, so for the player of the month for the month of October, we kind of teased some of the suggestions coming into this. What are the nominations? Who are the players that you think should be finalists for this award before we make a group decision on who takes it home?
Well, is this going to be just like the Heisman and we're just going to list the best quarterbacks?
Doesn't have to be.
No, make a case for somebody else. Let's hear it.
Here's my nomination.
Chase Brown.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, Chase Brown made my short list.
Not on mine. Jalen Hyatt. Just going to read Jalen Hyatt's month of October for you, okay? He's targeted 30 times, caught 22 of them for 582 yards, 11 touchdowns. No other receiver in the country had more than 6 in the month. He had 11, and he didn't drop a single damn pass. This is a guy that averaged nearly 20 yards per target, not per completion, not per attempt, per target. He averaged nearly 20 yards. Just looking at him and throwing the ball in his direction was an average of 20 yards for your offense. To me, that was the best month of the season for any player in the country.
I think he's also averaging like 20 yards of separation from the nearest defensive back on some of those. That was really impressive. Okay, I had Hyatt on my short list. Obviously, I saw who Danny put in the chat, so I'm not going to take his. I think Quentin Johnston probably deserves a mention. Like, that's a guy we were talking about in September. Didn't do a whole lot. Really woke up and carried TCU throughout the month of October. Doesn't quite have Hyatt's numbers in terms of the touchdowns, but among guys who have at least 35 targets on the month, he's one of the highest success rates. And all 5 of those games they played were pretty important games. Like TCU had a 5-game month. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive for him to carry those guys.
And they were all bangers.
Yeah.
Every
single one of those guys.
Yes.
I almost considered JT Tuiomaloau just for the performance he had against Penn State. That's a month's worth of work in one game. But if you look at the rest of the month, not quite as much production. I'm going with my guy, my man crush, Drake May, in the month of May. You look at, in the month of May. In the month of October, what he meant, 4 wins in a row, 5 touchdowns against Pitt, 0 interceptions, win against Duke. The win against Miami statistically wasn't that great, but one of the plays that he made in that game where he had a dude draped all over him was very Patrick Mahomes-ish. And I think, again, I said this before, I don't know if there's a player in the country that's meant as much to his team, put the team on his back as much as Drake May has meant to North Carolina. If he's not there, they're probably 3 or 4 loss team right now. And the fact that he is one of the reasons they're even thinking about, sniffing that top 15, top 10.
I mean, listen, we heard that Jacoby Criswell was right there. That's what Mac Brown told us. So it must be awesome. I did want to bring up Chase Brown. Chase Brown in the month of October, 25 carries, 129 yards, 31 carries, 146 yards, 41 carries, 180 yards against Minnesota, 32 carries, 149 yards. When we go into the similar to Drake May, like the most valuable player, how much you mean to your team, how much you mean to your offense, Chase Brown has been an absolute monster. He has already eclipsed 1,200 yards on the season. Only 5 touchdowns, which almost feels like a little bit of an anomaly. But in the last 2 games, he's also added a receiving touchdown to his total as well. So I wanted to highlight Chase Brown, who the Illinois defense is one of the best in the country. But the way that Illinois works itself into a top 20 ranking is because they have that complement of Chase Brown on the ground.
A couple other candidates, although Hyatt's my top. Izzy Benaconda, who rushed for 10 touchdowns and 607 yards during the month. Zach Charbonnet, who kind of like what you're saying with Chase Brown at Illinois, I feel like he's been a huge part for UCLA did in the month. And another player who I'm always getting crap for hating.
Bo Nix.
Yep. Bo Nix had an amazing month of October, and he deserves some recognition here.
All right.
Agreed.
Who are we going to give the award to?
I'm okay with Jalen Hyatt.
I'm okay with Jalen Hyatt too.
All right, yeah.
All right. Congratulations to Tennessee wide receiver Jalen Hyatt. You are the Cover 3 podcast player of the month for the month of October. Are we going to get a daggum sweep? Is this about to be a full
I don't
sweep?
think so.
Okay, team of the month. Who is the team of the month for the month of October?
I'm going to go back to TCU here, right? So definitely a tougher overall schedule than Tennessee had. TCU played 5 conference games: Oklahoma, Kansas on the road, host Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and then they finished it off with going to West Virginia. Now, some of those are not amazing teams, but there's no off week in those. All those games, if you don't play a good game, if you just play poorly, you're going to lose. There's no MAC team in the middle of that. There's no Tennessee Martin. There's no bye week. It is really tough to play 5 games against Power 5 teams that don't suck. So I'll make a case for TCU here. I mean, like, yes, we can say that some of those quarterbacks got hurt, and they did, right? Kansas State was down to their 3rd stringer for a good portion of that game. TCU could have lost there. There's no doubt about it, right? Kansas didn't have Daniels in the second half of that game. Sure. Now, TCU was up big by the time they knocked Gabriel out of that game. Like, they were going to thump them either way. So I'll put TCU up as the team of the month because we already gave one to Hyatt. But if you guys think Tennessee, I have a hard time arguing against that. I just want to – there are other good teams this month.
I'm with TCU. TCU.
That's your number one nomination?
Mm-hmm. TCU won 5 games in October. You know how many other teams won 5 games? None. No, I agree. Like, it's not just like, I think Tennessee had the biggest win of the month. And if you want to go with the most impactful for the season because they're number 1 in the college football playoff ranking, I think it's a great argument to say Tennessee is the team of the month. But I think from top to bottom, TCU had an overall better month. They didn't have any UT Martins in there. And if you look at just the way they performed in there, I would go TCU. Other teams I would look at besides Tennessee, Georgia.
Tennessee is my nominee, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Georgia, because despite what Chip says, Georgia absolutely dominated everybody in the month of October. They outscored their opponents by 113 points. And more importantly, in 4 games, outgained them by 1,043 yards. So that was a very dominant performance from Georgia. And then my other team of the month was Ohio State.
We finally got to see Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. You know, they'd been missing. I've been really wishing I could see some of the Buckeyes. Buckeyes did show up in the month. So we're going to get to game of the month here in just a little bit. And that's where I'm not going to fight against TCU, but it felt like TCU was more in a lot of the best games of the month and just happened to be a player in it than necessarily I think that Tennessee, the way that it has just continued to improve, because you're right. The Tennessee that played against Pitt doesn't look like the number 1 team in the country, but I think the team that played against Pitt has gotten better. I think the team that played against Pitt has continued to get better at every step, and that almost the win against Kentucky was like the fully fledged, oh crap, this team is really, really good. Like, they really might go and play for a national championship. But 2-1, I think we can hand it to TCU, add some diversity to the mix. TCU, congratulations. You are the Cover 3 podcast team of the month.
Can't wait until Jordan does a deep fake over this entire segment.
Yeah.
All right, what about coach of the month? We roast a lot of coaches here. We roast them on Saturday night. We roast them upon further review. Let's give some praise to some coaches. Who wins coach of the month for the month of October?
I'm going to go full homer here.
Brett Bielema?
This guy has Illinois at 7-1 and in the college football playoff rankings in only his 2nd season. An Illinois program that has been dog doo-doo for a very long time and really it's like, for an Illinois fan, competing to go to a bowl game was like, oh boy, we went 6-6. Yay, we're going to the whatever crappy mortgage.com bowl to play Louisiana Tech. He's got Illinois at 7-1 in the college football playoff ranking and considered not only the favorite, but considered by everybody to be the best team in the Big Ten West. So when you look at that and just compare it to the context of the program he took over and the situation that program was in, how could he not be the coach of the month?
I had Chris Kleiman on the list for consideration. You've had to overcome some adversity this year. Kansas State has seemingly addressed that. Brett Bielema, obviously, under consideration as well. But who else did you want to spotlight?
How about Jim Mora, 3-1 at UConn?
Hey.
I mean, Mike McIntyre, 2 wins this month at FIU. Honestly, like FIU was looking like maybe the worst team I've ever seen in my ratings, and they seem to have really gelled and come together. So that could be a miracle. Avalos at Boise won't win this, but he made the move to fire the OC, and that team looks like they're playing hard again. And they just did not look like they cared to play for him for the month of September. So that's a decent one.
Dan Lanning?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you've had 2 road wins in that stretch, and you've had the one thing that, Tom and I were hating out here. Like, first year coach, big win, going on the road. No way. But they, had the slow start, turned things around. They've done a good job leveling things out as well.
Last one for me, Whittingham. Right. Making the call to go for the 4th down against USC, winning the road game at Washington State without your quarterback, without your best tight end in Kuthi, without your second best tight end who gets dinged up in that game. They beat a pretty good Oregon State team. I mean, like they got a little lucky with turnovers, but still, it navigated the difficult month at Utah, and I think a lot of that was just quality coaching. So I'll throw Whittingham in there as well.
Final nominee is Brian Harsin. Getting a lot of money. Doesn't have to do anything. Gets the rest of the year off. That's a pretty good month.
Man, we can't
love it.
If we're gonna make graphics for this, we can't have Brian Harsin as the Cover 3 podcast coach of the month.
It would click.
And
maybe we'll do it for November because he had the best November. Who had the best November? All these coaches that were sweating, trying to lock up their recruiting classes while they were sweating the end of the season and navigating all these injuries? Or was it Brian Harsin who did not work a day?
Brian Harsin's pushing the shopping cart at Home Goods as his wife buys the extra Christmas decorations. And
yeah, because a bunch of a lump sum of that buyout money is due within 30 days. November's going to be sweet for Brian Harsin. Okay.
Merry Christmas to the Harsin family this year.
Oh, Hank in the chat with the good one. Hot Cedar Fields had a wild October.
Yes, he did.
Spencer Hall on Twitter said was just let a demon out into the universe when he's like, Clemson trying to secure an ACC championship. Scott Satterfield and Louisville trying to get rid of each other at the same time. Louisville and Clemson in a late season game. Wouldn't it be hilarious Hall of Fame type result right there if it plays out that way. But I've got no problem with Bielema.
I think we can give Bielema. Yeah.
You know what? I want to go with Jim Mora now. I didn't consider that, but he won 3 or 4 games at UConn. That's more important than getting Illinois to 7-1. I think
he got a Power 5 win.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Outvoted me, so it's Bielema. There you go. Bang.
All right. Let's do Jim Mora, right?
Screw it. Let's do
it. Jim. Congratulations to Jim Mora Jr.
I just want to keep the Illini motivated for November. We got a lot of big games coming up this month.
And he did it while navigating a haunted house, using it to his advantage. I mean, just impressive stuff there from Jim Mora. And finally, what
if the ghost is a football expert? Or what if the ghost is spying on his opponents? Huh? We got like a little Spygate going on. They don't know he's there. He's like Jalen Hyatt.
Supernatural Spygate is next level right there. Though I don't think that you needed a spy to let you know where the injury issues were on Boston College's roster.
Boston College has ghosts playing on the offensive line right now.
All right, and the game of the month, there was an absolute banger that resulted. And look, I mentioned like TCU Kansas State made my list. TCU Oklahoma State made my list. Utah USC made my list. There were a lot of awesome ones. There was one result that had us holding the finest gas station cigars we could find here on the Cover 3 podcast. Is it anything other than Tennessee, Alabama?
No,
it's definitely that game.
Okay. You want to throw out any nominees just so we can have them spoken into the universe?
Utah USC, Oklahoma State, Texas. I don't know if you guys watched Houston, Memphis. I thought that was a very fun game. And then just honorary, Miami 14, Virginia 12 in 4 overtimes.
4 overtimes, 0 touchdowns. The only time the ball crossed the plane was a 2-point conversion in the 4th overtime. Beautiful stuff.
Does UConn play on our air this month?
All the rest of the way.
Yeah.
You're like at home on CBS Sports Network almost the entire rest of the season.
You think they can we can get CBS to put our award in the game notes so the announcers parrot it on the air?
If Sherry is on the call for one of these games, then definitely.
What if Hassel's doing it?
We'll see. We can look into this and we can effort a way to get it into the broadcast call. Let's see.
A talking point for any UConn game is like manna from heaven. I bet you we can get them to do this.
Oh no, Sherry's gonna be on Big CBS with Rich Walton, Aaron Taylor. We've got Air Force Army, so that's a big CBS game at 11:30 a.m. A doubleheader on CBS, Air Force and Army at 11:30 a.m. followed by Georgia and Tennessee at 3:30. Watch on CBS, stream on Paramount Plus. Okay, game of the month. It is Tennessee over Alabama in Knoxville. All right, Tom, it's time for the Fernellis.
All right, well, I guess I could cross Ghost Hunter of the Month off the list of awards I was giving out. They went to Jim Mora, by the way. We'll start with the Made Me Look Bad award. Sam Hartman for just doing whatever the hell that was he was doing on Saturday after I led the quarterback power rankings with a lead about how great Sam Hartman has been. And then I made Wake Forest my lock of the week and locked it up on here. And it was a lock unity. And then he goes out and just poops all over the field. My Jamar Chase of the Month award, Jackson Smith and Jigba. My fan of the month, the Ohio State fan who told me I better hope he doesn't run into me in the street because I put CJ Stroud at number 2 in those previously mentioned quarterback power rankings. You're taking it a little too seriously.
That fan better hope he's not running into you, else he's in danger of being attacked by an eagle. Tom lives in the middle of nature right now. He's fighting off deer and eagles and all kinds of aggressive animal behavior.
I nearly crapped my pants yesterday while walking the dog. Yes, a giant golden eagle swooped down on us. And like I had headphones on, so I didn't hear anything coming. And I was just sitting there walking down the path in the forest, and just a giant bird zooms right past my head, so much that, like you could feel your hair move. And I honestly think, because these things go after bear cubs, I honestly think it was trying to size up my dog. And then when it got close enough, it realized, nah, it's not going to work. But it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, that Ohio State fan's not ready to go after an eagle. No. It can't step into your arena.
That eagle would have whipped my ass. It would have whipped the dog's ass. We'd have been running through the trees hiding. Who am I kidding? Our Cover 3 listener of the month. We mentioned this on a show previously a couple weeks ago. The Miami fan named Cover 3, who on a message board said he knocked out a Duke fan and is probably going to get a divorce because of it, but it was well worth it because the Duke fan was talking ish. You can't get away with that after beating Miami, apparently. We got 2 more awards here. The Tinfoil Hat of the Month award goes to Bud for thinking that the playoff committee is just putting the rankings together specifically for television talking points. I agree with you that they're clueless. I do not agree with you on that part.
I literally had a coach just text me during these awards right now. He does not watch our show live. He goes, dude, you are totally right about this. It's clearly fake. He goes, but it does help us in the polls with recruiting.
And then finally, my locks expert of the month is no longer here, but giving it to Danny for going 15-28 with his locks in the month of October. Now, he's still killing it with the money line sprinkles, but just his locks themselves, 15-28, just over a third. It's not great, Danny. Do better. Start tomorrow.
He also, I think, has a winning record against me in fights somehow. Like, out of all the Danny picks I could pick to fight, 16-28 is literally just you're profitable if you just you're rich as hell if you go 28-16, right? Apparently, I picked the 16 to fight.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I guess we can give our AP Voter of the Month award, our poll assassin, to the one and only Don Williams. We'll call it the Don Williams Award, and we'll just keep giving it to Don Williams every
The
single
Don Williams Award has been given to Don Williams for the second month in a row. Congratulations to Don Williams. It's Lubbock Review Journal, right?
Yep. Lubbock
You think
Avalanche.
Don would come on the show?
I bet he would
Yeah, probably good sport.
yell at me about my thoughts on his rankings.
Hey, listen, we're always down for a rebuttal, but maybe not on the show. I don't know. No promises there. We'll pre-record something, and if it's good, then maybe we'll include it in the show. We still gotta have a barrier for entry here.
If it's as bad as his ballot, we'll just cut it.
Just cut it. No, we gotta have some quality control here on the Cover 3 podcast. That's what we believe in. Dang it.